fame, singing more songs about Jesus, my Savior, Jesus Christ, what a man.
Well, hi there, Pastor Dwayne.
Hey, how you doing, man? Nice to see you.
Yeah, my name is Ethan Moore. I'm happy to be joining Pastor Dwayne here again in the Sanctum Sanctorum of the Sanctuary Church in the heart of Fort Lauderdale.
Ethan, tell me one more time. What are your other websites?
My websites?
Yeah.
Oh, well, if you like listening to me on this podcast, you can listen to me on another podcast called Sex on Kava. That's at sexonkava.com, or look us up on iTunes.
That's good.
That's a fun podcast. It's about like I don't know, like relationships and sex and love and things like that. And I do that with I do that from a kava bar in Fort Lauderdale, and it's like a live kind of a thing.
Do you really talk about relationships?
We do. We try to get people in the bar to come and talk about their relationships.
Ooh, that's good.
It's good, right? Sometimes it's successful, sometimes it's not. We also have comedians and actresses on as guests, so we'll get them to talk about their love lives sometimes.
Have people come talk, like one person talk and then the other person talk, and find out they're completely seeing things differently. Bring them back together, and then...
Well, you get we like Ricky Lake or something?
Yeah, right.
We solve your relationship. That would be great if we could get like the boyfriend on the phone until we find out the other side of the story.
Right, exactly.
We don't do that, but we could, theoretically. It's just no one wants to actually do that. Everyone says, oh yeah, I want to be on the podcast. And then we're like, okay, well, let's talk about your relationship. They're like, never mind.
It's a little Jerry Springer type of thing.
Yeah, it's tough to get them to do it. So sometimes we resort to I talk about my love life, or Rich Kennedy, my co-host, talks about his, or something like that. And we just try to keep it interesting. And then we always have a story about like sex.
Right.
Like a news story, a weird news story from our news girl, May Durand, and another South Florida comedian.
You have a news girl?
We have a news girl.
I like that. That's good. Yeah.
She's very funny. And very classy. And she keeps us in line.
Do you have a joke? Because we want to talk about what we ran into just out in the hall, but do you have a joke?
Oh, should I have a joke right now?
Yeah. Do you have just one joke?
All you people, you say you're into alternative energy.
Yes.
But you're wasting all this dryer lint. I don't know. That's not really a joke yet, but I think it might be.
There's something in there.
There might be a joke there someday. We ran into Emily, a fan.
Yes, yeah.
I think we can call her a fan. She said that she listened to like 6 episodes in a day.
Yeah, and she said some of them she listened to twice.
Wow. A lovely female fan base here.
Right.
Just with Emily in there, I'm happy.
And there were things that she wanted to talk about. I mean, she brought things up that she has issue with.
She said that what was it? She said that she knew what... We were talking about what joy was.
Joy was, yeah.
And she said she knew the answer.
And she was screaming at us.
And she talks to us. And then I can't remember what she said after that, because I was just looking at her and she's really pretty. And I lost my train of thought. It happens all the time when I talk to her. It's hard.
She kept
I got some problems as a human being, Pastor, I'm telling you.
Well, it was,
I like her as a person, too, but it's just hard sometimes.
Well, it was she kept saying the idea that she said joy is love. Joy is this idea of experiencing love, and she kept saying, "Don't you get it? Joy is love."
Right? She's like, it's your bumper sticker, Pastor.
That's right.
It says love wins.
Yeah.
Right. Joy is love. She also said that gratitude is the experience of the search for joy.
Right.
I think it was something like that.
Yeah, you made a comment about the idea that you wanted to put joy kind of like if you could put joy in like a little piece of paper and fold it up and put it in your pocket.
Yeah,
that's what she was saying.
And I think that comes from my, I talked about this a little bit in the past on here, like my, experience as an addict, an alcoholic, and I'm in recovery now. But like I think they still have those tendencies to want to, whenever there's a good feeling, I want to be able to lock it up in a box and experience it whenever I want. Right,
and we find that probably that's not real joy.
Oh, I think it's tremendously healthy and well adjusted.
How's that working for you?
Yeah, it's not good. Well, also the other thing is that actually works pretty well with drugs and alcohol, because you can kind of experience a similar feeling. I mean, it works until it doesn't work, you know. But then when you're not on the drugs and alcohol, then you try to experience feelings like that with people. Then you end up hurting people. Well, you know, because you're exploiting their feelings to feel your own feelings.
That's right. But part of it is I've never been to a happy hour where there've been happy people. You know, you go in there and it's like, man, work sucked. It was, let me have another drink.
You're saying that vodka doesn't do what it says on the tin?
It doesn't.
No?
No.
I don't know. I think it kind of does.
Really?
I think drugs and alcohol, I mean, they work too well in a way. You know what I mean? For people that are addicts or whatever, then I think they work so well that you actually don't even learn how to deal with life on its own terms. So you know what I mean? You're so successful at it with this. It's like, oh, I found the secret. You know, like it's just a shortcut.
No.
And then it doesn't work. And then it doesn't work eventually. But for a long time, it's very gratifying.
It doesn't ever work. It's not ever working. It's just playing with you. It's going, oh, now you're happy. And you're going, yeah, but in about 10 minutes, I'm going to really be sad and angry and not feel good. And
maybe you just weren't getting the good stuff, Pastor.
That's right. I probably would. So do you believe that she really listened to this 6 of these things in a row like this?
I think she's an honest person. I don't think she would have lied.
Absolutely honest.
Yeah.
And she truly believes, like, we missed the joy part, you know?
I know. Maybe we should have her on as a guest.
I think that's
that would be good,
idea.
Right?
That'd be great, yeah.
Well, you know, we have...
would you be able to talk?
Close my eyes.
Okay.
Close my eyes. She has a nice voice, too, though. It might be tough.
She does have a beautiful voice.
Yeah.
She does, yeah. She's one of the most truthful people I've run into in a long time, man.
She's very forthright. That's a good way of describing her. Well, you know, I actually think the 2 guys and 1 girl dynamic works great on a podcast, like we were just talking about with Sex on Kava.
Yeah.
Like we have, so it's me, then Rich Kennedy,
right.
my co-host. We host it together.
Right.
And then we've had a couple different news girls over the 8 or 9 months we've been doing it, and we've had the same one now for almost, I think, probably 6 months or so, and that's May. And May, it's just a great little dynamic because there's a female voice and there's a couple male voices in there, and then we try to have a girl on really often, a female on as a guest really often.
What did you say? May? May
is that's her name. May Duran.
May?
Yeah, May.
Really? Okay.
Well, I mean, her name's May.
Yeah.
But her nickname is May.
Oh, May. Yeah, I mean, I've never heard the name. It's a great name.
She's black, and then that's that African American reduplication thing, like you know Ray. Yeah. No, it's Ray, not Ray. Yeah. You know what I mean? It's like you get that. Yeah.
Well, I think we should invite...
you can do it with a monosyllabic first name. You can't do it... Like, it couldn't be like Ethan. You know?
Ethan.
But you could be Dwayne.
Dwayne?
I think there was a Dwayne on what was it? Different Strokes?
Probably so.
Or one of those shows. A Different World. A Different World.
Okay, so we're going to invite her. We're going to invite her to be part of this?
Emily?
Yeah,
absolutely.
Why not?
Let's see. We can get a little...
female point of view from that.
We'll have the 3-way thing going, 3-way discussion. It's good.
Yeah, she's a sharp lady. She really knows what she's talking about. She has, and she questions everything.
Yes, yeah, she's got a very what's the word? Her mind has a lot of alacrity. Is that the right word?
That's good.
I don't even know that's I don't know what that word means. She has an alacritous mind. No, I don't know. She's very like intuitive, and she can pick up on things and grab onto a concept. And she's curious. She has a very curious mind.
Right.
So I think she would be good on here because this show is all about curiosity. The other thing she said to me in the hallway was, I think you were talking to someone else. She said, you know, when I sit down and I listen to a podcast, you know, like this vegan thing, it's going to be about healthy eating, and then this other one's going to be about, you know, cars.
Right.
And this one's going to be about, you know, this or that.
Yeah.
And she's like, when I listen to yours, I have no idea where it's going.
Where are you going?
You know. And she's like, so I actually couldn't tell if it was a criticism or not. Mm-hmm. You know, because I feel like maybe we should have more of an identity with where we're going.
Yeah.
On the other hand, I think it's kind of nice that you're going to tune in and you're going to get something a little
fresh
different every time.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, I wouldn't want this podcast to be, you know, we covered some political stuff in the last episode about the soup kitchen, and we were talking about socialism and capitalism and things like that. I wouldn't want to talk about that, you know,
every time,
or even ever again.
Right.
But you know, and I also wouldn't want to. Sometimes we talk about like, I don't know, philosophy or like Kierkegaard or something. You know, I wouldn't want to talk about Kierkegaard every episode. And I wouldn't want to talk about my sex life every episode, but we've done that before. And I think it's interesting to have a lot of. And I guess the question though is, what's the unifying theme?
Right.
You know,
right.
I mean, I guess it's Jesus.
Right.
Is one, and then comedy. Except Emily also said, "Well, you haven't told a single joke."
That's right.
No, she said you told one.
Yeah, and that wasn't even a joke.
We tell jokes. I try to make you know, what's the word I'm looking for? Irreverent comments.
And you do.
I think I do.
You do a very good job. But yeah.
You know, nice. Pastor, you told me that.
Yeah.
It's so we were changing the logo to. It's going to be me in my Jesus costume.
Yes, that's scary.
We'll see how that works.
Terrifying.
We'll
Are you
try that.
You going to put that up online? I think we should ask people to definitely
to vote.
Yes, chime in on that.
Well, let's just put it up, and then we'll ask them to downvote it if they don't like it. No, we'll see. We're thinking about changing the logo, but you said that if people. You said that you've had some of your colleagues in the ministry criticize you or saying that you're on the border there of being heretical with the name, and then you said that if what was it, Calvary something?
Calvary Chapel.
Calvary Chapel.
If they
find out,
yes,
then they'll be mad.
Crucifixion. Yeah.
Crucifixion.
Yeah. They'll be after you right off the bat. Yes.
Magdalena will be. It's going to look like a day in the park compared to what's going to go on here in Fort Lauderdale.
We're going to take you down, boy.
Calvary Chapel. So Calvary, that's of course the another name for Golgotha. That's the hill, right? Right. Where Jesus was crucified.
Yep.
And then chapel, I imagine that means it's kind of a small, independent, church, just a few members, maybe in a small shack somewhere.
Yeah,
it's a chapel.
10,000 people, something like that. Yeah, it's massive.
It's more of a cathedral or a church than a chapel.
And that was with, poor Bob Coy. I don't know if you remember him. He was the one who started that, and Bob did a great job. He started that church out of a funeral parlor. And how do you like that? Hey, want to come to my church? We have church in the funeral parlor on Sundays. And it grew, and it grew and grew and grew. And then he had an affair, or multiple affairs, and his church, with all the love of a church and all the caring of a church, fired him.
Really?
Isn't that crazy? What are you teaching that's not fitting in with the Jesus teachings that I'm reading, and they fire you? You fail, you have a mistake, and they fire you.
Yeah. That's
Isn't that
not
cold?
Good. He had an affair.
Yeah.
And he was a funeral. It wasn't a funeral. Necrophilia? It wasn't a
No.
Okay.
He's grown the church into this massive church, and then he has these affairs, and that creates issues for him.
Well, do you think that a pastor should be fired for having an affair? Are you just trying to clear your own way here?
That's right. I'm ready to...
You're like, no pastor should ever be fired
from this church
for having an affair.
That's right. No, I think that if a church is being a church, it's probably looking to try to help the family, and they send them to counseling and try to take care of them.
So they would minister to him.
Right. And there's this verse in John 8 talks about Jesus sees this woman who was supposedly having an affair with somebody, and he says, "Look, nobody else has condemned you, neither will I." And I don't think we're supposed to do it like that.
So Jesus didn't condemn her for adultery?
No, he didn't.
But what do you think about the idea of, the pastor should be setting an example?
Yeah, I do.
And hypocrisy?
Yeah.
What about hypocrisy?
I think we're supposed to set an example, but I think you have to also not put yourself up on a...
I mean, was the pastor preaching every Sunday? I think you should all have affairs.
No, he was.
Everyone should have an affair, and then he's not a hypocrite, at least.
Yeah. They took it down. They took down all his sermons, and I'll bet you.
So you don't know.
I'll bet you the last 10 sermons there was something going on.
Advocating adultery.
No, I usually people preach.
I'd like to do my sermon on the 9 commandments. Everyone. Wasn't it 10? No.
We're skipping.
I got a new translation.
We're actually skipping 2 of them. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that's like, we've had a lot of problems here with pastors in the Fort Lauderdale area. You had the pastor at First Pres over here who had an affair, and his girlfriend, who had the affair with, kept all his voicemails and kept all his texts and kept all his emails and started a website and put that website on a card and put it in the windows of every member on Sunday morning so you could actually hear him. I mean,
woman scorned.
Oh, man.
A woman scorned.
Oh,
that's rough.
that was just, and she did that for probably 2 years. I think it was dated up to 2 years. So for 2 years, she'd been, what's that? For 2 years, she knew that something like this was probably going to happen. And so that church fired him too.
Wow.
So.
Well, I don't know. I mean, it's sort of hard to be. I mean, this is like, in a way, of course, I think of echoes from like the televangelist scandals in the 80s and 90s. Like what was it? Jimmy Swaggart, the Jim Baker.
Yep. Oh man, yeah.
What was it? And Jessica, what's her name? Yeah, and you had all these situations, and then people, I think. It sketches on Saturday Night Live about it.
Right.
I think there was a lot of, there's a lot of Schadenfreude involved, of course. People are just like happy to see someone at the top fall down. But there's also that feeling whenever it's someone who's basically telling people how to live their lives virtuously.
Right.
And then they're not living virtuously. There's a certain satisfaction in seeing that person fall, and it's like, yeah, it makes you feel better about your own choices and your own failings in life, in a way. So there's a lot of negative things about, attached to it, I think. Maybe you feel like, oh, I'm not so bad. But
so what is that the whole thing about lifting people up to this pedestal? Lifting them up. You lift them up to that, and then when they crash and burn, you're like, okay, yeah, finally.
Well, I don't know. There's something there to that, though, but because that's like something.
Are there pictures in this magazine? Let me see pictures showing how he crashed and burned. Or how he,
we clearly do that. I don't know if we do it as. I think we probably do it as human beings, not just as our society. But in our society, you can see it with, especially with the young women celebrities.
Mm-hmm. Right.
Where we raise them up to these really high heights. And give them all the praise and all the resources. They get money, they get power, they get all this, adulation, and then, then they, get into, drugs or tough relationships, or there's issues with their kids or whatever it is, and then you see them like on the front of the tabloid, and they're just being like, raked through the coals. It's just like the worst. You know what I mean? So it's like Britney Spears or Lindsay Lohan or
exactly.
I don't know. There's probably I don't know if Miley Cyrus is in that category, but. Whatever the it girl is of the moment, there's this raising them up to the heights and then this dashing them on the rocks.
What do you think that's all about?
I don't know. I used to hear Dr. Drew, right? Dr. Drew?
Yeah.
Right, from like Loveline and all that stuff.
Yep.
And he had some shows on VH1, like Celebrity Rehab, all that stuff. Yeah. So he's he used to say that he thought that was about. He said he thought it's like the ancient societies when they would sacrifice people, and when they would sacrifice you would for like a week they would be like, covering you in oils and giving you all the best food on the island, and they would be like parading you around, and you could be with anyone you wanted to be with. You could have sex with whoever you wanted or whatever it was. You get all the things that you might want in life for like a week, and then they all kill you. Sacrifice you to the gods.
And so it's like a tribal thing.
It's almost like that's something deep in the human psyche or something. Is what I think that's the point he was making by making that comparison. That I think it's certainly an evocative and a provocative and evocative kind of comparison to make. I don't know if there's really anything to it, but it seems like there is. It seems like there's certainly a desire to see people lifted up to heights and then dashed down. Maybe it's just people are living. It's like almost like a narrative, like a Greek tragedy or a story or something, where you see this this hero who rises up and then he has a tragic flaw and then it's destroyed. Maybe it's just another way of living out a narrative fiction, but actually through a real person. There's certainly a level of identification that happens when you're watching a play.
Yeah.
And you identify with the hero, and then the joy, and then the pain. And maybe we do that now through these things like reality TV and celebrity culture.
And it is. It's one of those things that you kind of start to ask yourself in a really serious way, and that is that, do you really, movies like Survivor and things like that, you start kind of seeing the worst of people being brought out, and you're like, is that really? I mean, is that the best we can do? I mean, is that the very? Wouldn't you want to see more things that bring out the best in people? I mean, that's why I find it so hard when I see churches when a minister, a pastor, whatever, has a failing, that I want to see the church that embraces him. I want to see the church. A friend of mine, a church up in Michigan, 3 years into the church is massively growing, 10,000 people every Sunday. And he is in the green room ready to get out and walk and start teaching. And he's sitting there going, I want to be anywhere except here. I've got a half a tank of gas. I got my keys in my pocket. I want to go anywhere but here. And he just said, I can't do it. I can't do it. And he had a breakdown right there. And that church reached out to him, got him counseling, got him back. And about 6 months later, he was back in the pulpit, back, But they embraced him, and they, no problem. We understand. How can we help you? And that's what I think. That's what a church should be doing, and that's not what they do. They just, they cut you and go. Coral Ridge, Tellion was there, and he and his
Who's
wife.
That?
He was the minister there, and he and his wife were separated, and his wife had an affair. And he had an affair.
Okay.
And he got fired.
Wow. Well, I think there's also an element of...
Isn't that crazy?
It is crazy, and I don't... well, is it crazy, I guess, is the question I'll pose to you now. Because...
yes.
You said to me... You say it is. Okay. But let me play devil's advocate here.
Okay,
Jesus
fine.
Christ, that's funny. We talked about on... maybe it was just like the first or second episode. It was a while ago. We talked about how... there's not just there's the church.
Right.
And then there's things like that you have to solve in the church. Like, you have like use facilities on your board here with a bunch of numbers.
Right.
And you have to figure out questions about like who can park when and where and things like that. And you said, well, those are opportunities. I said, well, that sounds boring. And is that really important?
Yeah.
And you said, no, it is important. And those are opportunities to, to actually learn from other people. And become teachable moments and things like that. And so what I'm wondering there is that, so that's the business of the church. In other words, you got to pay your rent or whatever it is. You got to deal with your, the mundane, minutia that goes with running any human institution. And so because of that, you have to deal with things like public relations also, or that's another area too. So then there's a question about what's the church's public face, and is this cutting into the ministry? If we have someone who has affairs, and then they are supposed to be advocating for some sort of, what are they advocating for?
But wouldn't it be the public relation area of like, our minister had a failing, they did this, and we've taken them to counseling, we've taken their family to counseling, we're working with them, and we all hope you pray and embrace this person. That would be the Christ-like,
right?
Not, oh yeah, you're out. I don't see him doing that with any of his disciples. I don't see him, going, okay, Peter, you denied me, you're out of here. I see this. So, when we, and you talk about teachable moments, this is one of the things that we believe so strongly in, and that is that you may be on this property because you're coming for a wedding, or you're coming for a funeral, or you're coming for, and all I want to do is be able to talk to you for a second, because maybe you haven't met somebody who hopefully has a much more open mind towards our relationships and who we are and what we are and what a church really looks like. And you go, hey, you know what? This isn't that bad. That sounded pretty interesting. Not that you're going to come on Sunday, but you just may say, that sounds, I maybe want to talk a little bit more about that.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. I don't know the answer to the question about whether the church should fire someone who's involved in affairs. I guess I guess it's going to depend on the situation. I know I see your point though, in terms of the idea that Jesus would probably say, "Hey, you need to work on that."
Yeah, right. Exactly. Yeah.
Judas. Work on that a little bit.
But there's always the consideration of the fidelity of Judas.
What does that mean? Are we talking about infidelity, like marital infidelity?
Yeah, well, like that he, that Jesus, there's a book out called The Fidelity of Judas, and it talks about the idea that to look at it a different way, to turn it around, and that is that maybe Judas had such a connection with Jesus. Jesus said, listen, I need you to do this because this is how the next step happens. And Judas goes, okay, I will.
Oh, so he's like, I need you to betray me.
Right. And Judas loves him so dearly and so deeply that he says, yes, I will do that. Not knowing where it's going to go, not knowing how it's going to, and does, and then goes through the pain and agony of seeing his Lord, his Savior, killed and killing himself because he just can't deal with it. It's a good book. Interesting.
So Judas was sort of self-sacrificial in a certain sense.
This book puts that forward. That's what this book is trying to say. Is maybe we have it in a different way. Maybe there is a different view of it.
Maybe, but I mean,
Peter Rollins.
Peter Rollins.
Yeah.
I mean, that presumes that Jesus could have predicted what would happen next.
Yeah, I think if you read the scripture, I think you have a lot of understanding that he must have known that this was all coming to this end.
Really?
Yeah.
You don't think that
the whole prayer in the garden, like take this cup away from me if it's your will,
Right. Well, okay. I mean, this is the narrative. This is the narrative that we have.
Right, it is the narrative.
But when I try to imagine what Jesus was really like, I feel like he would have been like, "What? You guys are like, I'm trying to help here. What are you guys doing? Hey, unhand me, sir."
That's
But then, of course, Peter, don't cut off that guy's ear.
Right,
but,
right.
But please unhand me. And then he's like, "All right, well, I guess I have to be resigned to this fate." But I don't feel like he would have been saying, "Well, no, you got to go ahead and betray me because I need to die."
Well, I mean,
to fulfill this destiny. In other words, well, I guess it also depends on whether you think Jesus was really transhuman.
Well, I mean, did he get tired? Did he have pain? Did he have, yeah, absolutely. But is there something deeper? We understand our understanding of the divine constantly is evolving because more things come out and you start to say, this is where I understand the divine better, or I have more. And I think that a lot of times, sometimes I find it during Easter, I really get depressed.
Really?
Yeah, I get depressed because I go through this phase, this kind of drop.
You get depressed. How do you think Jesus felt?
Yeah, but I know I do because I go
3 days
this,
up there. Guys, could I go to the bathroom before you put me up? I really should have gone before I left the house.
I get depressed because it's like all of a sudden it started, that you have this person who was preaching love and passion and grace and compassion and we just want to kill him. And we continue as a culture to still do things like that. That the people who are preaching these types of things, we would like to have them dead most of the time. And that says a lot about our humanity, and that scares me a lot deeper. That we have something dark within us that till we fess up, until we look at it and we go, we have a tendency to do this.
Are you talking about original sin now, Pastor?
No, I'm not. I'm talking about how we function in this world today, that there is a dark side to us that we have to be very, very careful about. And once we acknowledge it, then we can start to live past it and live through it. It's
well, maybe comedy is one of the ways we can acknowledge it.
Well, that's what I think so. That's why
I think so too.
Why I'm here with you today.
Hey,
I'm waiting for that joke.
I have jokes about Jesus on the cross.
I know. And then when Calvary knocks on the door, I'm going to be going like,
he's the guy.
Yeah. It's him.
Right. And I'll be
No,
like,
I won't. I'll be right here with
I'll
you.
be like, no, wait, what about Barabbas?
Yeah, that's him.
Yeah.
That's it.
They'll be like, no, give us Ethan.
Ethan, we want Ethan.
That's
We
right.
have some wood out here for you, buddy.
Take this cup from me.
That's it.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. I don't mind courting. Like I said, I'm not scared of those guys. I grew up with them.
Yeah.
Well, are they fundamentalist over there?
Pretty much, yeah. Pretty much, yeah.
I know how that stuff works.
Yeah.
You know.
They're against gays. They're against, just about anything that's not them. They're against. It's that theology of either you're in the circle or out.
Right.
And there's no ways about it. So they're in the circle and they cheer each other on. And if you're outside
Tribal.
the circle, yeah,
A little tribal there.
yeah.
Yeah, that's what that stuff is a little bit scary. I don't want to say that there's some darkness in the human spirit. I really don't want to believe that.
Really?
You know? No, I don't want to, because I want to say that it's ignorance, or that it's so in other words, it's a lack of the light of knowledge, maybe in the sense, if you want to go with the darkness metaphor, but it's unuseful, it's unhealthy, but it's not evil. That's why I want to go,
Yeah, I'm not sure I would evil. I'd probably stay away from that term, but
once you go to the dark light dichotomy, I feel like
Yeah.
you're just a step away from good and evil.
No, well, I question when I run into people who say I'm a Christian and they're Bible thumping people, and you're kind of going, but don't you understand that Jesus is saying not to kill each other, and Jesus is saying, you're supposed to love your neighbor, and neighbor is a big word, a
Right.
massive word
Right.
for humanity, that we can't go into war with other countries and just, massacre people and think that that's
Right.
acceptable,
Right.
and then at the same time say we're Christians. You can't.
Well, people get caught up in the, once again, we have political questions, and it gets so complicated because I think people are trying to live their individual lives, and
Right.
they've got their family and they're trying to protect their home and things like that, and then maybe they are happy to go to a homeless shelter and give food out,
Right.
But then when it comes down to, well, this guy on TV who's got a lot of authority is telling me that we need to bomb this other country because they're coming for us,
and they have weapons of mass destruction.
yeah, then I think if that's what's happening, then it's people don't maybe look at it in that kind of paradigm that you're saying. You know what I mean? They don't say, oh well, no, we shouldn't ever bomb anyone. They say, well, these people are giving us no choice. We have to protect ourselves.
But there's that fear level that people pander to, and
Well, of course, of course, that's the other side of it. But I'm just trying to see it from the perspective of someone who's, just trying to live their lives, and then there's someone saying, hey, you're in great danger. Gather all the, able-bodied men in the village and get some torches and some sharp, pointy sticks. We need to stop the barbarians at the gate.
Well, but
because that seems to be the way that
it's not even
it develops.
the able-bodied men. It's let's grab the poorest people who are joining the army because that's the only way they can survive,
right,
and put them out there.
Well,
it's not. Let's grab the NFL football players and send them out there.
I feel like they would do good, right?
Right, make them tank guys.
Yeah.
They go, yeah.
NFL guys. Yeah, I don't know.
You know what? That's a great idea. Did you come up with that?
Make the NFL players are like super soldiers.
Yeah, why
basically,
not? You can go ahead and put them out there. That'd be really
I
good.
think that might be the answer. Because no one's gonna. They're getting paid a lot of money.
Right, they're millionaires anyway. What the heck?
So they're. Let them risk their lives.
And you know what? I bet no one would go to war because they go, what do you mean? You're not going to have games? You're not going to have season? No.
No. We'll forget about the game.
It, yeah.
This is for real now.
That's right.
Talk about playing for keeps, Fantasy football. This is fantasy
this
Armageddon.
Is the real stuff.
Yeah. That's right.
Oh.
The gambling. Oh my God! Just think about Las Vegas.
The gambling on top
odds,
of it, yes.
And the advertising. Forget about it. How much? How much do you think Bud Light would pay to film the actual war? And you've got I don't know, Drew Brees, out there.
That's
He's not throwing
Tom
touchdowns.
Brady is going, okay, I got it.
That's right. He's like, this rocket launcher is fully inflated.
That's right.
Yeah. Yeah. Maybe that's the answer.
This is going to make it onto your stand-up. I can tell right now.
Oh, put the NFL out there on the field of battle.
Yeah, I can hear it right now. I can hear you doing that.
Well, of course, sports is it's a metaphor. It's not a metaphor. It's the version of it's peacetime war.
Right.
It's peacetime version of war. It's like the Romans would get the gladiatorial arena going. When they weren't actually having wars, and get some soldiers out there and watch some games. It's the same thing. So you gotta have both, I guess.
So yeah, I think you could do that there. And we're doing so many video games anyway that are kind of warlike that we could probably, market this. I think this is $1 billion idea right here.
This is trillions of dollars because you're going to have, your sponsors are not going to be, Budweiser and I don't know, Snackwell's cookies. It's going to be McDonnell Douglas and Boeing.
That's right, exactly.
You're going to have some serious money behind it.
Ethan, we got some money for you. Don't worry.
Oh, my God. That's right. Got Ryan Tannehill with Halliburton on the side of his jersey,
And, that's not cheap. That's not cheap to have that on there.
No. That's right. Sell some missiles. All right, so we've solved the problem of war. Is just put it, capitalism. A hyper-capitalist approach to war. And as far as as far as preachers who have affairs, they'll be cast into the lake of fire. I think that's what you said.
We have 3 right in this area too, man.
We've got some lakes of fire.
Trifecta here going on. Yeah.
Oh, we have three
Yeah, we have
preachers.
3 pastors that did that. Yeah.
All right. Welcome to Fort Lauderdale.
That's right.
And as far as Emily, we're happy that we have a fan listening.
Yes.
And maybe we can have her on, in the future.
She's going to have a fit over this one. You know that.
Is she?
She's going to be talking.
Because we talked about her.
Yeah.
Hi, honey. How you doing? Hi, Emily. Well, anyway, if you're listening and you like the show, whether you're Emily or whether you're someone else, please drop us a line, Send us a message at JesusChristThat'sFunny@gmail.com. You can also follow me on Twitter at EthanIsNotFunny or on Instagram at EthanIsNotFunny. Thanks. You can also find my website where I have tour dates at EthanMooreComedy.com. That's my Facebook page also. So just like that and you can see when I'm going to be out there doing stand-up. And Pastor, what about the Presbyterian Church webpage?
The Sanctuary Church, sanctuarychurchftl.org. You got to go on that. And our Facebook's the same thing, Sanctuary Church FTL, and like us there. And I hope to see you out there at the Kava Bar and see Ethan, because he is really, really good.
Every Monday at Kava Comedy Monday. You can come out and check me out at 9 o'clock at Awana Kava Lounge, 2762 East Oakland Park Boulevard. That's always a good show. So we do an open mic, and there's always a lot of great comics who come out from Miami and West Palm and every direction. So good stuff. Yeah, come check that out. All right, Pastor. Well, another fantabulous episode, deep in the ground.
Really great. Really good.
That's right.
Ethan, you did a great job. Thanks, man.
You too, man.
Yeah.
I'm going to New York, but I'll see you in a couple weeks, and we'll do some more.
No, I'm not going anywhere.
You'll be here.
Yeah, that's just...
Ministering to the people.
How did you do that? Just say, I go to New York. It sounds so good. And then I feel really bad when, I don't have anywhere to go.
Be content in such things as you have.
No.
I can quote some scripture at you there.
Sounds good. Okay.
All right, Pastor. I'll see you next time.
God bless you, man.